Hey, what's going on? This is another episode of hold on, let me get the volume straight. Let's bring it down. Okay. Hey, what's going on? I think we just found a nice little routine. But on with the subject at hand, this is another episode of the Reporter Vlog News with have to be one of the most horrific stories in the history of mass shootings in this state, this whole United States in recent memory. Um, but today, a gunman just went off today and attacked a Catholic school in Minneapolis. 17 people were injured and 2 kids were killed. Man. They got he ended up killing himself when it's all said and done, and they end up but whew, you can just but let's put it like this: they're looking for the motive. They're looking for the motive. They said his name is Robin. I've got his last name, but I don't know his name is Robin. And they said he was a trans. That's what I heard on TikTok. But I don't know. I don't know if you. I don't know if that's official yet. But let's get right into it. I got the main story and the follow up to the story to explain this this day that will never be forgotten in the United States. Okay, this is brought to you by WLKY, of course, and with the publisher is from the National Desk Staff. It was updated at 6:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on August 27th, 2025. It's pretty much a hot story. Unfortunately, I put the emphasis on unfortunately. But let's get right into it. 2 children were killed and 17 people were injured when the shooter opened fire during a mass at a Catholic school in Minneapolis. During the first week of classes, 14 of the injuries are children. 14 of them. Shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. This is what they know since when that thing broke out. It's pretty much what they know straight right offhand. 2 children were killed and the 17 others injured when a shooter opened fire during the mass Annunciation Catholic in school in Minneapolis. 14 of the injuries were children. All injured victims are expected to survive, according to the officials. The school the shooter armed with multiple weapons died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and authorities report no active threat to the community. The school was evacuated, and families gathered at the reunification zone in a heavy law enforcement presence. That's what they know as far as information right offhand. Emergency responders were called to the Annunciation Catholic School around about 8:30 a.m. Wednesday in the city's Wyndham neighborhood. Um, uh, it's 6:42, 6:42, 42. Yep. Oh, I'm back. Wednesday in the city Wyndham neighborhood, about 8 miles west of Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said the shooter, armed with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol, approached the side of the church and shot through the windows toward the children sitting in the pews during Mass. Uh, the children died were 8 and 10. 14 other kids and three Octogurian parishioners were wounded but expected to survive, the chief said. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of the firing onto the church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible. Earl said at the news conference as church bells rang out. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey lamented the violence that had forever changed the students' families in the city along with them. Don't just say that it is about thoughts and prayers right now, Frey said. These kids were literally praying. In the post on X, FBI Director Kesh Patel said the shooting is being investigated as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime targeting Catholics. Let's read that again. In a post on X, FBI Director Kash Patel, one of Trump's right-hand men, said that the shooting is being investigated as an act of domestic terrorism and a hate crime targeting Catholics. His Greater Western Housney told reporters he ducked for the pews, covering his head, shielded by a friend who was lying on top of him. His friend was hit, and he said, "I was super scared for him, but I think now he's okay." The 10-year-old said, adding that he was praying for the other hospitalized children and adults. Housney um, Housney told reporters that he ducked for the pews, covering his head, shielded by a friend who was lying on top of him. His friend was hit. He said, "I was super scared for him, but I think he's okay." The 10-year-old said, adding that he was praying for the other hospitalized children and adults. Housney's grandfather, Michael Simpson, said that the violence during Mass on the third day of the school left him wondering whether God was watching over. Jeez. I don't know where he is, Simpson said. Hurl said the shooter was in his early 20s. Did not have an extensive known criminal history and is believed to have acted alone. Officials identified the shooter as Robin Westman. Earl said police had yet found any relationship between the shooter and the church. Not determined a motive for the bloodshed. The chief said, however, the investigators were examining the social media posts that appeared to show the shooter at the scene and contained some disturbing writings. Westman's uncle, former Kentucky state lawmaker Bob Herringer, said he didn't know the accused shooter well and was confounded by the violence. His unspeakable tragedy. We're praying for my sister and her other children also. Obviously, for these poor children, her and said by phone. He said he had last seen Westman at a family wedding 3 or 4 years ago. This was a deliberate act of violence against innocent children and other people worshiping. The sheer cruelty and cowardice of firing onto a church full of children is absolutely incomprehensible, said a police chief who noted that the wooden plank was placed at a barricade some of the side doors. I've been briefed on the shooting at the Annunciation Catholic School, and will continue to provide updates as we get more information. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said in a statement on social media, "I'm praying for our kids, teachers whose first week of school was marred by a horrific act of violence." In social media posts, the city of Minneapolis said the shooter is contained and there is no active threat to the community. Hennepin Healthcare, the main trauma hospital in Minneapolis, said in a statement they received 10 patients, including 8 children, ages 6 to 14. 2 adults, 7 were considered to be in critical condition. Children's Minnesota and Pediatric Trauma Hospital said it admitted 7 children aged 9 through 16. Bill Benjamin, sorry about that, work without my glasses. I need to put them on. Okay, Bill Biderman, who lives in a couple of blocks away and has a long attended mass at Annunciation Church, said he heard dozens of shots, perhaps as many as 50, over as long as 4 minutes. I was shocked. I said there is no way this could be gunfire. He said there was so much of it. It was sporadic. Benjamin's daughter Alexandria said she attended school from kindergarten to 8th grade, finishing in 2014. After she heard of the shooting, she said she was shaking and crying, and her boss told her to take the day off. It breaks my heart and makes me sick to my stomach knowing that there are people I know who are either injured and maybe even killed, Alexandria Biderman said. It doesn't make me feel safe at all. Indeed, this community that I have been in for so long. The school was evacuated. The students' families later were directed to the reunification zone at the school outside amid a heavy uniformed law enforcement presence, where uniformed children in their dark green shirts and dresses. And you were trickling out of the school with adults giving lingering hugs and wiping away tears. Poblio has been sent a telegram of condolences over the shooting, calling it a terrible tragedy, and saying he was praying for relatives and of the dead and injured at the extremely difficult time. Leo's history's first American pope, and said that he was profoundly saddened to learn about the shooting at the Annunciation Catholic School Church. He sent his condolences to all those affected by the terrible tragedy, especially the families now grieving the loss of a child. I'm heartbroken by the horrific violence at Annunciation Church. Um, Catholic School Church. He sent his condolences to all those affected by the terrible tragedy, especially to the family now grieving the loss of a child. I am heartbroken by the terrific violence at the Annunciation Catholic School in Minneapolis this morning. U.S. Senator uh, Amy Klobuchar said on X, "My prayers are with the students, teachers, and families. I'm grateful for the first responders who are on the scene." President Donald Trump said on his Truth Social platform that he has been briefed on the shooting. President Donald Trump said the White House will be continuing to monitor the terrible situation. Trump said, "Please join me in praying for everyone involved." White House will continue to local and state police, FBI, Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm agents and other authorities converged on the school. Dating to 1923, the pre-kindergarten through 8th grade school had an all-school mass scheduled at 8:15 a.m. Wednesday morning, according to its website. Monday was the first day of school, and the social media photos from that days show students in green uniforms greeting each other with at bicycle racks, smiling for the camera, and sitting together. The gunfire was the latest in a series of fatal shootings in the city. In at least 24 hours, one person was killed, 6 others were hurt in a shooting Tuesday afternoon outside a high school in Minneapolis. Hours later, 2 people died in 2 other shootings in the city. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. The day and age we live in. Yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah. Can't blame God. I know people want to. But it's the day and age we live in. Because do you really think God is going to talk to you and make you do what that guy did this afternoon? Ask me this question. Do you really think God is going to whisper in your ear and tell you something to do that or do something like that? Because I feel it coming. I feel it coming. A lot of people going to point fingers at God. Why they allow this to happen? But like I said, do you really think God is going to whisper in your ear and tell you to do something like that? To set your feelings aside before you point your finger up at Him. They got hate is from Satan himself, which is real. But you're looking at a guy that made a conscious decision. We're looking at a monster that made a conscious decision to wake up in the morning and go down there at school and do what he did. Do what he did. But it's a sick situation. So, man. But like I said in my in another episode of the Reporter Vlog on TikTok, he's gonna have to do some heavy reform or something. He really is. Cause it getting so now, you pretty much numb. You got some people out there probably numb to it. Probably thinks it's tradition in the United States. And that shouldn't be. Mass shooting should not be a traditional thing. But he's gonna have to do something. Yeah, Donald J. Trump, he likes he likes passing out reforms, signing executive orders, sign an executive order concerning that, making it a lot more tougher for people like this guy to get weapons. Sign an executive order on that. That'd be a nice use of ink. Sign an executive order on that. Even though, like they said, guns are not the problem, but people are. But seriously, the only way you can solve the problem is keeping them two from meeting. That's the only way you're gonna solve that problem. You gotta get more tough on as far as that some kind of way. That's the way you're gonna have to solve it. There is none that serious. If you truly look at it, none that serious to require that guy to do that. Robin, Westman. There's none that serious in the world. He said he had a hatred for Catholics. Dang. What's up with this Wi-Fi? Sorry about that. I better end this before the Wi-Fi start getting more crazy. Let me see about my follow-up story. Okay.